Alright guys, it's been a really rough day, and I'm going to tell you about it. But first, I'm going to rewind to April of 2018. There was a Saturday in the middle of that month, like the 20th or the 21st. And that week, Ben was out of town. He was on a work trip. And I realized that I needed to film a dance film. And so I got all dressed up and I went out on a Wednesday and I just filmed some really slow motion shots. And then I went back out, and then and then I went back out on Friday and I did a bunch of dancing. Thursday, I spent all day in bed. When something is so emotionally exhausting that I spend the entire next day in bed, and physically it really wasn't that much, something's going on. So Friday, I recognize that this project is going to be a really big deal. Like, okay. So Saturday, there's a funeral at church. A lot of the members are friends with the people. They need some babysitting for the granddaughter of the person who passed away. And so I volunteer. So I do that, and then one of my church friends comes in and I cry on her shoulder because of the current situation with my mom. Basically, my mom and I were very codependent. I've talked about it in other vlogs and podcasts. But the summary statement is that at this point in the relationship, I didn't know if I was going to let my mother into my life ever again. Like, we survived the wedding, and then after that I was like, okay, we made it through that, but here are all the things that are not right, and I'm really angry and really hurting, and I need to think through this. And so I was, however many, August to April, however many months that is, into processing this. So I'm crying on my friend's shoulder, but it's like, oh, I need to leave, I need to get on the road, because I need to be at a baby shower. So I drive to this baby shower, and I'm late. And it's the South, so all these women have like their perfect makeup on, and their perfectly rolled hair, and I'm there, and my hair is like this big frizzy afro mess because I hadn't figured out mousse yet, and I'm over gel because sticky nightmare. So I'm attending this gathering. I basically don't know anyone, except the woman, and she's sitting there, and her mother is on one side, and her mother-in-law is on the other side, and I'm coming from the situation of, I don't know if I'm going to even have my mother in my life, much less have a baby shower with my mom on one side and my mother-in-law on the other. Like, wouldn't that be nice? Wouldn't that be healthy, biblical, beautiful matriarchy? And I survived the baby shower. I survived. Like, what else can you do? You show up, you have a good attitude. I've had to learn painfully over the years that a lot of situations are not about me. And I got on the road to go home. Now at this point, I am physically, emotionally, spiritually exhausted in every single capacity. And I haven't seen my husband in a week. So I'm driving on the highway to go back home to my husband. And I don't abide by the local etiquette for driving. So I take some people off. and then their ticking off gets me ticked off. So I'm in my car screaming because I am so livid. I am furious. And I pull over and I cry and I get out of my system and I post a prayer request. My phone is at like 1% battery, so it's not like I can even ask for help. My charger, we took my charger out of the car for some logistical reason. We hadn't put it back in yet. So it's me and God. It is me and God, and I'm furious. I am driving a several ton vehicle, and I need to get home to see my husband. And in that moment, when I'm really, really angry, you guys, one of the things that I visualize to help me rein it in, one of the tweets that I'm going to post here is when my emotions are flailing, I try not to hit things. In that moment, I was so tempted to, like, destroy the vehicle and impair the driving of the people around me. And in that moment, what I visualized was losing my father-in-law's respect as a consequence of that action. And I don't know why it was my father-in-law as opposed to anyone else. He and I do not have a perfect relationship, but it's pretty great. And I really care about respect, and I really care about his respect. And he does a lot of financial advising, and so totaling a vehicle is just 100%. Totaling a vehicle intentionally. Trust me, I have totaled vehicles. I've been in totaled vehicles. I've had 5 car accidents, give or take, a time in a Michael's parking lot, and that was a really expensive colored pencil because I didn't look behind me because I needed to see the chiropractor. But that's a whole nother scenario. Sorry about that. So to get back on topic, I visualized, I knew if I did that willfully, like, okay, other people in my life would think less of me, be disappointed in me, etc., so forth. But I knew my father-in-law would never respect me the same again. I would never measure up in his eye. That would not go off my record. I'm just gonna say it. And there's plenty of proverbs that talk about fools and lazy people. And there's a proverb that says, the lazy person is a brother to him who destroys. Now that's a paraphrase, but there's enough keywords you can figure that out on Bible Hub. So the 2 thoughts that went through my head is, 1, I'm not going to lose my father-in-law's respect because I have road rage, because I'm struggling to acclimate to this new culture. 2, what is my goal in this moment? My goal in this moment is to get home to see my husband. And by the grace of God, that is exactly what happened. And we later sold that vehicle. It paid off the rest of my credit card bill. And we transitioned to being a 1-car family, but it was voluntary. It was the right time, and it finished off my credit card debt, which was a huge blessing. So in that moment, what I did was I identified the consequences of my actions, and I identified the number 1 goal in that moment that I could really fix my eyes on and move forward to, literally driving back home. So today, there's a situation that's been a problem, and I was pretty worked up about it. And ladies, sometimes in marriage, you'll know, like, your husband is trying, to sympathize or be sympathetic or supportive, but he's not saying like the magic words that you need him to say to validate you. And that was kind of happening. And this is why it's really important that we look to Jesus first for a validation. And so that was what was happening. I recognized I needed time and distance to think this out, and I need a change of scenery. I hadn't hung out with my friends this week, so I've literally been in this apartment all week. My husband's working from home, so we've been in this apartment all week. So I decided I'm going to go for a walk. But I take my phone with me, and I get so far along, and my mind is obsessing, and my mind is on this little merry-go-round of, oh, I could just send this to the group chat. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to waste the past 2 years of work by saying something stupid in the group chat. So I walk my butt back upstairs, and I threw my phone on the floor, and I shouted at my phone. I said, no, I am not going to text the group chat. My husband's working at the computer on a freelance project to save for a house, and he's like all startled and jumping and looking at me like he has a no yell policy, which I try to abide by, but today was not one of those days. And he's trying to get me to calm down, and I am beyond livid. That's one of my favorite phrases. I am beyond livid. I'm fuming. I am losing it. And I'm like, okay, I need boundaries between me and my phone right now, so I don't hit something with my flailing emotions. And I look at my husband, and I yell in his face, I hate everyone. I hate everyone. I try not to say things like that, because last time I said something like that, I gave the enemy a foothold, and I had the emotional spiral of the year. It was the emotional spiral of the year. I gave the devil a foothold, and it was not pretty, and I had to text people to bail me out of that. So I was surprised that the words come out of my mouth, I hate everyone. So I then said to my husband, so he's trying to reason with me, and I am beyond reason at this point, which is a dangerous place that I try not to go as a married woman, because reason is an important basis of relationship. But if you can't get your husband to understand your emotions, like the Bible tells men to live with their wives in understanding, that's actually a lot harder than women think, because we're kind of hard to understand, so we need to be patient. Today was not one of those days. So my husband's trying to reason with me, and I shout at him, leave me alone, and I go on the walk that I told him I was going to go on earlier. And we have a couple trails by our house, and he knows which one I like, so it's not like he didn't know where I was going. So I go on this walk, and I see a bug move in the grass, and I sit down and I just look at the bug. I look for the bug, and I didn't see it, but at this point I'm sitting down, the sun is shining, it's a beautiful autumn day, and at this point I've calmed down. And to Ben's credit, he came out and he found me. And I immediately apologized for yelling in his face. And he apologized for his failure to defend me. And I proceeded to communicate to him that this situation has tempted me to commit arson and murder. I've wanted to burn these people's houses down and beat them in a parking lot. that's how painful the situation has been for me. And it's been ongoing. This is very embarrassing, speaking this to a vlog camera, which will go public or at least go on my playlist or something. But in the course of the past 2 years, working and paying attention to all of this, I have visualized, okay, what would the consequences be of murder and arson? I have visualized my mugshot. It's not pretty. I have visualized people I care about and respect mourning the consequences of my actions and struggling in their lives because of the potential foolishness that level of sin from my anger would cause. And that has helped me to reel it in. Visualizing consequences is actually a very powerful motivator to not do that thing. Do not touch the stove. It will burn you, and it's not fun. Like, yes, you can survive, and you will survive, but was that necessary? And now there are consequences for foolishness. And Ben said, I didn't realize that you were tempted to murder and arson. And I said, that's because I have self-control. I didn't tell him. Like, he knew the scenario was a problem for me, but I didn't tell him. And then I joked, except for my podcast, because I mentioned it on my podcast 2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago. Still up. Staying up. I'll link it if I figure out which one it is. And then that was when some dots connected in his mind. There is a theme in the Bible. There's a huge theme in the Bible of my people will never be put to shame. Never again be put to shame. They will forget the shame of their iniquity. And that verse is kind of a twofold promise. And one, it's a promise to us as we walk through the sanctification process. And two, it's a promise to us as it's a promise to us in the fulfillment of the kingdom. The King will return, and he will make all things new. And every painful misunderstanding will be healed in the light of his goodness. So with that in mind, I'm going to read you Psalm 91, because there is a great deal of comfort in knowing that he's coming back. And one of the other things that I tell myself when I'm hurting, I remember Jesus died for that. Jesus died to take the anger of God for that. And that reminds me that he cares about what's happening. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a buckler. You will not fear the terror of the night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only look with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord your dwelling place, the Most High, who is my refuge. No evil shall be allowed to befall you, no plague come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you, to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against a stone. You will tread on the lion and the adder. The young lion and the serpent you will trample underfoot. Because he holds fast to me in love, I will deliver him. I will protect him because he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him. With long life, I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. My name is Meg, and I love my Jesus. And I believe in living inside out. Now it's your turn.